Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I wanted to talk to you today a little bit about my 2018-2019 curriculum that I used for my son, who was then in the 5th grade. For English language arts, I will put a card right now on this video, or I may, also link it at the end of the video. We use several resources within our homeschool. And the video that I'm linking will basically show you the curriculum that I used and how I used it within our homeschool, specifically for English language arts. In the 5th grade, we hit it hard on grammar. And for the 6th grade, we're going to hit it hard in the area of writing. But for English language arts grammar, we use several things. First, we use Michael Clay Thompson. This is awesome. My son loved it. He read it on his own at first, and then we read it together. This was a great reinforcement. I did not use this as my main curriculum. I used it as supplement for whatever we were learning within our main curriculum. Let me just go through the table of contents with you. So this book is broken out into 4 parts: parts of speech, parts of a sentence, phrases, then clauses. Okay? And let me just go to each part and just show you. I think this can be easily done by a 3rd grader. My son was in 5th grade, and again, we use this as supplement curriculum, but this can absolutely be used as main curriculum for a 3rd grader, even the 2nd grader, if you choose to start with grammar in the 2nd grade. But it is easy to read, easy to understand. This is the teacher's version. The only difference is that these little things here are not, these little call out boxes are not within the student version. Also, what's not in the student version are the answers. So for example, here, where it says, "Oh, do you want to see something?" You can have many adjectives all modifying the same noun. The sentence in the student book would include the sentence here, but there will be no boxes around here. And you as the teacher would ask the question in this call out box: how can these adjectives modify the noun at the same time? How can we understand this? So you would basically ask them, what is the adjective in the sentence and what words in the sentence are modifying that? And then you would go ahead and have them put a box around the words. So same goes for here. In the student book, these words would be here, but there would be nothing circled, and the student would have to circle that within the sentence. See here, there are 7 adjectives modifying duck. Do you see all 7? And then again, that's why they boxed it here. So we use this as a read aloud. So we did our main curriculum, and then on a separate day, we would read a few pages here and read it out loud together and do everything orally. This worked beautifully. My son loved the little stories in here. He loved the little poems that were in here. I would write these sentences on the board, and then he would have to write the parts of speech, just like this on the board. So again, I would write number 1. I would write on the board, 11 fish swam in the blue lagoon, period. And then I would go and tell him, please put the part of speech under each one of these words here. And that's how we would, utilize this book. Again, read aloud, put it on the board, write on the board, have discussion. I love this. And we are using the 2nd version of this within the 6th grade. For our main curriculum, what we used was Shirley method. We did not, I repeat, we did not use the jingles, because for me and for my son, they are old, outdated, old school, and a snooze. Boring to us. So what we did in terms of creating mnemonic devices for our parts of speech or different things that we wanted to learn, we used vocabulary, which has songs or raps for various parts of speech, or he created, his own mnemonic devices to help him remember some of this stuff. So this curriculum comes with the teacher guide and it comes with the student guide. Let me show you the teacher guide. This includes grammar and it also includes writing. We did not do the writing portion of this book. We only did the grammar portion. And as you can see, this is grade 6. My son was in grade 5 last year. In my humble opinion, I think this can be used for a 5th and 6th grader. And for the 6th grade, we are using level 8. And that level 8 is pretty thick, but we're going to use that and cycle through it at least twice between 6th and 8th grade. But again, you can use grade 6 in the 5th grade. You can use grade 7 if you so choose in the 6th grade. You really don't have to keep with these levels with these specific grades. And it does start off at grade 1. So let's go and dive in. To me, this was extremely thorough. This is very teacher heavy, I would say. This is teacher heavy. If you do not have the time or you do not want to put in the time or you do not want to teach your child, this is not the curriculum for you. Okay? But for me, I like teaching. I like seeing that, spark go off in my son's head when he's learning. This is my thing. I like doing this. So I decided to go ahead and pick up this type of teacher intensive curriculum. Let me give you a closer look here. So this has about 26 chapters, I think. 30, is it just 30? So it has about 32 chapters, okay? It has about 32 chapters in it. And basically, excuse me for the camera, how I did it is we started off with a lesson. Bear with me here. Apologies. Just skip. Okay. Let's just skip on to chapter 5 here. So, and they all work the same. First, you have lesson 1. And in lesson 1, what you are doing is you are basically introducing the topic. You are doing learning the jingle for that particular grammar skill that you're learning for the chapter. So you learn your jingles. Again, we do not use the jingles. You introduce the topic. You do some practice sentences. You go through the topic that you're learning in great detail. That's one thing I love about this. It's an open and go type curriculum. You can read verbatim what the book is saying, and the child should clearly ascertain what is being said, what they need to understand, and it also includes repetition so that the child is not, learning at one time and then that's it. No, it is going to continue to spiral through the entire curriculum, which I love. Okay, so you'll learn and teach. You'll continue to teach. It gives references and tells you where to go within the book for additional reference information. It, again, continues to teach. And then you do some examples. And it goes through a sentence pattern that they call the question and answer flow. And that's what I really loved about this curriculum. As we are breaking down, dissecting every single sentence, you're doing it through a sentence flow. They call it question and answer because you're asking a question, giving an answer, asking a question, giving an answer. So for example, you'll start off with who or what is the sentence about? In this case, Mary. Mary, subject, noun. What is being said about Mary? Mary looked, verb. Looked how? Curiously, adverb. At, preposition. At what? Picture, object of preposition. The, article. Of, Okay, and it goes down like that. And you're breaking down the sentence, and the sentence says, Mary looked curiously at the picture of baby ducks on the faded apron. And that sentence flow, question and answer that I was just going through is how you dissect and break down that sentence to understand the structure and pattern of the sentence to include the parts of speech. And it also goes into the type of sentence. It goes into complete predicate, complete subject, is the sentence declarative, interrogative. It goes through all of that, and I love it. And it teaches you, is it 7? If I'm saying that wrong, I apologize, but I want to say it's 7, 6 or 7, maybe even 8 sentence patterns. We did not get through all of that within level 6. Level 6, I think, goes through sentence pattern number 5, maybe. And then, book 7 and book 8, 8 being the last, goes through the remaining 2 or 3 sentence patterns. And that's what we're learning in the 6th grade. But I love this curriculum. My son loved this curriculum. When I tell you he knows his parts of speech like the back of his hand, he can break down any sentence by doing this question and answer flow. Awesome. And you can Google or use YouTube to find some additional information in terms of the Shirley method, Shirley English method question and answer flow. Okay. And then it continues and gives you some additional lessons and information, and it dives into writing. So in our case, we skip the writing and we also skip the vocabulary. We use our literature for vocabulary, and we also use some other methods for vocabulary. After that, it goes into a review. And again, this is a different lesson. Okay, so you have a different lesson. You are not learning a new topic, but you are building upon the topic from lesson 1. And then you'll go through lesson 2. It all flows the same way. It has about 5 lessons within each chapter. So again, every chapter has 5 lessons. Every lesson builds upon each other. You're learning and perfecting the question and answer flow, which is basically dissecting, breaking down every single sentence to understand the parts of speech for that sentence and some other grammar type things within the process. And it again includes writing and vocabulary, but again, we chose not to do that. At the end of every chapter, you will have a test. Okay, so you will have an actual test that I will administer, not even administer, I just give it to my son. So let's look at here. It says, go to student page 94. And if this is far away and you can't see this, apologies. I'll figure out how to zoom in. Let me see if I can. Oh, it's that easy. Okay, let me go ahead and do that again. I didn't know I could do that. Okay, so chapter 5 test, it says go to page 94 in the student text. So let me go ahead and get the student text and let me turn to page 94 for you. So in the student text, okay, page 94, my child did not write in the book. My goal is to use this for all my kiddos. So what I had him do was make a photocopy, and he would actually write on the photocopy. Okay, very simple. This book here, the student book, also has the lessons. So everything that you are teaching the student, remember how I said, you're teaching the student and you're reading verbatim what the stuff says here. Okay, this is what you're teaching your student. You can just read it. Your student will also have something similar in their book that they can use to follow you along. Okay, and that's the other great part of this. So here it says chapter 5, lesson 3, practice 1. This is what you were talking about in lesson 3 of chapter 5. This is what you were talking about, and then they can follow along. And then remember when I said it provides you references for different information or additional information, here are all the various references. So I think it said reference 19 for chapter 5 in what I was reading. So then you would have turned to reference 19 here, and then you would have gone through whatever you needed to go through. So this student book is where your tests are. Here is a close-up of the Shirley English table of contents for level 6. Again, the Shirley English curriculum, Shirley English method curriculum starts off at level 1, which is for grade 1. And within grade 1 and 2 and 3, I think they only go through the first 2 or 3 sentence patterns. And then as the levels get higher, they will eventually introduce all the sentence patterns. So for level 6, again, I think we only did the first 5 sentence patterns. And then in level 8, which is the next one we are using, it go ahead and it completes the sentence patterns that we did not do, which is, I want to say, sentence patterns 6 and 7, or 6, 7, and 8. I really think they might be 7, but you can figure all that out. But here's a close-up of the table of contents so you can see the information that you're learning. If you look at chapter 1 in the beginning of the school year last year, we even went over the differences between long-term goals and short-term goals. It also went over study skills and how to create a schedule and things of that nature. So let me go ahead and show you. Again, we only focused on the areas that said grammar. We focused on the areas that said grammar, skills, practice, exercise. Again, grammar, skills, practice, exercise, and things of that nature. And we did the test and check. We did not do the writing assignments, nor did we do the vocabulary. If our focus was writing for the 5th grade year, I probably would have done writing, but I wanted to focus on free writing or creative writing during our 5th grade year, and then leave writing to the 6th grade year, which is what we're doing this year for 2019-2020. As you can see, it goes through capitalization, punctuation, how to write friendly letters, abbreviations, the 8 parts of speech, synonyms and antonyms. I think this is really an all-inclusive type of curriculum. So if you don't want a separate curriculum for grammar and writing, this will actually serve the purpose of doing both. It goes through compound sentences, complex sentences, subordinate, conjunctions, indirect objects, direct objects. If you do the writing component, it goes through the various types of writing to include narrative, expository, dialogue, and things of that nature. Let me keep showing you the table of contents here. And again, everything builds on each other. I would definitely say this is a spiral approach to learning for Shirley Method. Definitely a spiral approach for learning, which means whatever they teach in the beginning, you keep on spiraling through over and over again, but it's not redundant. Because we did not do some of the lessons, we were able to do this entire curriculum the way we did it for a year. Okay, so we did a lesson a day, and sometimes we even did 2 lessons in a chapter per day. And it took us about 30 minutes minimum. It never took us less than 30 minutes to do a lesson. So it takes about 30 to 45 minutes to complete a lesson. And as you can see, it also goes through a research paper. We did not dive into research reports last year for the purpose of English language arts. We did do a science project where we had to do research and we did a report for science, but we did not do the formal thought process of research for the purpose of writing. We will do that in the 6th grade year during the 2018-2019 school year. Used with Shirley Method, alongside Shirley Method, we used First Language Lessons Level 4. And oh my gosh, I actually like this one too. We used Level 3 in grade 4 with my son when he was enrolled in school full time. I used Level 3 just to reinforce what he was learning in school. This one, they don't do sentence classification like Shirley Method, but they do diagramming. Personally, I don't like diagramming. We don't do it within our homeschool. If my son ever has to learn it, we'll do a quick 30-minute session on it. Boom, bam, boom. He'll be done. Got it. Good. But we don't do diagramming right now. So this is teacher intensive 2. Okay. So with this book here, let me show you the table of contents. It has about, how many lessons? About 85 lessons, and then it gives you some additional information here. But it has everything. It goes through like abbreviations, initials, which Shirley Method does as well, but it does it at the end. This one kind of throws some stuff in here. This also does memory work and like through poem memorization. We don't do the poem memorization. We don't do the dictation. We don't do any copy work or anything that this book may offer. We use this strictly for the grammar. So let me just show you an example. Very teacher intensive, but I love it. So here it says instructor. It tells you what you need to do as the instructor. It tells you what you need to say. So the instructor, you say something, and then it tells you what to say with the child together. And it even tells you how many times to say it. And then instructor says it again. And again, it tells you what to do and how to do it. They also have a workbook, but we did not utilize the workbook. Let me just show it to you really quick. We did not really utilize this workbook at all. I'm still going to keep it just in case I may need it for, my other kiddos when they get older. But we used this book here, the teacher guide. We used it and did everything orally. Nothing was written down. It was done orally. So let me just give you an example. I would start off. It says instructor. So as the instructor, I would start off and I would say, let's review the definition of an adjective. Say this with me 2 times. An adjective is a word that describes a noun or pronoun. And then next it says together. Say it twice. So, okay, are you ready? What is an adjective? Let's repeat it. And this is basically narration, okay? And then together you would say twice. An adjective is a word that describes a noun or pronoun. Again, an adjective is a word that describes a noun or a pronoun. Instructor, I would say. In this lesson, I would always include my son's name. In this lesson, Jeremiah, you will learn another part of speech that describes words. An adverb. An adverb is a word that describes a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. I will say that definition to you 3 times. And again, it says instructor 3 times. And then I will repeat it 3 times, and so on and so forth. And then we would go on with the lesson. And in many cases, it also gave you some mnemonic devices, some ways to remember some things as well. And we actually used the mnemonic devices in this book to learn some things in the fourth grade, 3rd grade, and 4th grade. Excuse me. So we liked this book because it allowed us to reinforce with Shirley Method. Remember, I teach on certain days, and my son will use the days that I don't teach to do all of his projects, his assignments, his study time, and things of that nature. So if I teach language arts, for an example, grammar 3 days a week, I'm not using Shirley Method 3 days a week. I might do Shirley Method twice a week, and then I will use this the other teaching day. And again, it reinforces what we've learned in Shirley method. This is diagramming. We don't do it. So I would just skip the diagramming. So we actually completed this book, and we completed this book, and we completed this book for language arts. So I hope you guys found this of benefit. If you have any questions for me, please leave them in the comment box below, and I will try my best to get back with you sooner than later. But as always, guys, you be blessed and make it a fantastic day. Bye.